Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X-22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 1510B, and today's date is March 1st, 2018, and the title of the episode is Putin Strikes at the Deep State and Sends Them a Hard Message. Let's get into the economic collapse, political, and geopolitical news. Now, the Deep State, they are really pushing their agenda, and what they're doing right now is they're pushing their agenda very hard because they realize this is it. This is the end game. Now, let me explain what is happening here. A lot of YouTube channels are being taken down. Of course, YouTube came out and said, oh, this is a mistake. The new people that were doing this, they didn't realize it and they're going to fix it. I think this is a complete cover story because we still see channels being taken down, they're receiving strikes, and if you mention something about an event or anything like that, which they don't like or they don't want that out there, they go into action. Now, what I see happening at this point is they're doing this in different phases. Now, in the past, what they tried to do to silence the alternative media is they took down channels. And they took them down. This happened, I think, in 2013. It did happen to mine, where they just took it down. People complained, they brought it back up because they didn't have any type of explanation of why they brought it down. Then they started to change their terms of service, and they started to add things. And whenever they realized that they needed to add something else, that's what they did. So then they tried demonetization, where they said, okay, all these individuals are in it because of the money. So what we're going to do is we're going to demonetize, and we're going to put them out of business. They found out that didn't work. So now, with any type of an event or anything that goes on, if you mention it or say anything, they go to their terms of service, which they've modified many, many times, and they can do it at any time they want. They start giving strikes. So what they've done right now is they've taken down probably around 18 to 20 that I know of channels, and a lot of them have strikes. A lot of them have taken down completely. I think Jerome Corsi, his channel was completely taken down. And the reason why they did that, and they wanted it to go widespread, was to censor the alternative media. Now think about what they just did. This is phase one. They censored the alternative media and made them censor themselves, because now the alternative media will not mention anything because of a fear of them getting a strike or their channel being taken down. This is exactly what they wanted. And this is in preparation for phase two, which is most likely going to be a horrific event. Now, I'm going to explain that a little bit later in this report, but let's get into some of these news points here where we see the deep state. They're pushing the agenda, and this is coming out of the New York Times, where they revealed that North Korea, and we mentioned this yesterday, was supplying Syria with components for chemical weapons. Now, what's very interesting about all of this is that it's the exact two countries that they want to get into, Syria and North Korea. Isn't that amazing? What a coincidence. It just so happens North Korea, who wants peace, who's talking about peace, who's asking the United States, we will have peace talks with you. We have Moon Jae-in saying, listen, from South Korea, we will have peace talks. All of a sudden, this comes out. This is pure propaganda. What they're trying to do is they're trying to make a link. They're trying to push the idea that these two countries use chemical weapons. They help each other out. They use it on their own people. And they're very nasty, scary countries. So we need to do something. We need to bring democracy to these countries. And this is exactly what they're doing. Now, out in Syria, we can see things are definitely heating up there. But what's very interesting is that the Pentagon came out and they said the United States has not seen any evidence yet of the use of chemical weapons by the Syrian government in eastern Ghouta. And this is coming from defense spokeswoman Dana White. And once again, there is no evidence of Assad using chemical weapons. The chemical weapons were removed from Syria. They were signed off by the U.S., signed off by Russia, signed off by Syria, signed off by the UN, and they were destroyed. all this talk about chemical weapons and things like that, these weapons are being used by the terrorists. The weapons have been brought into this country, into the country of Syria. A lot of them they manufacture right there. And the terrorists have been using it on their own, using it on the people of Syria. This whole thing has been staged by the White Helmets to make it look like Assad has been using chemical weapons. But in fact, a lot of this has been false flags where the terrorists have been using the chemical weapons. And of course, they're doing this to push their agenda. Now, their agenda, and I'm talking about the deep state, was to break the Kurdish region away from the rest of Syria. And of course, this would include the Kurdish region in Iraq. And this way, they would use that region to build the pipeline and have it go up into Europe. And we can see that the U.S. right now, the deep state, has created 20 military bases around Syria in the Kurdish region because that was their plan from the beginning. And believe me, they haven't given up on the goal. This is why you see that article come out in the New York Times. This is why it's being broadcast on the corporate media, because they're still pushing the same agenda. They haven't let up at all. Now, what's very interesting is that most of the wars that we see today, well, they've started in the month of March. And you've heard of the saying, beware of the Ides of March. Now, is it a coincidence? Well, in recent history, from the Vietnam War to the present, the month of March has been chosen by the Pentagon and NATO military planners as the best month to go to war. With the exception of the war on Afghanistan, October 2001, and the 1990-91 Gulf War, all major U.S., NATO, and Allied-led military operations over the period of more than a half a century since the invasion of Vietnam by U.S. ground forces on March 8, 1965, have been initiated in the month of March. The Ides of March is a day in the Roman calendar which broadly corresponds to March 15th. The Ides of March is also known as the date on which Julius Caesar was assassinated in 44 BC. So basically, the saying is, lest we forget the month of March is dedicated to Mars, the Roman god of war. For the Romans, the month of March marked the time to start new military campaigns. And here we are in the month of March. And we can see right now, they are still building up to war. Now, Putin came out and he sent a message. And basically what he's saying is that right now the deep state has deployed 30 destroyers and 5 cruisers in close proximity to the Russian border. And Russia, Putin, he understands that they're not just there to, be there. They're there to surround Russia. Now, Putin had a message. Now, this is a day after his foreign minister accused the U.S. of violating the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. Putin came out and shocked the audience during his annual State of the Union address to his country's political elite by claiming Russia had developed a new nuclear weapon that cannot be shot down by the U.S. anti-ballistic missile defenses. The missiles, Putin said, are capable of striking almost any point on Earth. Now, let's think about this for a second. He is sending a message and warning the deep state, do not try anything. Do not start a war. If you do, we do have weapons of mass destruction. And he went on to say, listen, they are listening to us now. They understand they will not survive the war if they start it. Now, again, we need to remember that deep state, they're crazy people. They love wars. They think they always have the upper hand. They think they're smarter. And, of course, they have their bunkers. They have their fallout shelters. They have places to hide. What's really going to happen is the people are going to get hurt. So he was sending a very strong message to the deep state because he realizes and understands what they're trying to do here. And we can see right now with NATO, the US, where cyber attacks are an act of war, we can see this is exactly what they're pushing. Now, what's very interesting is that the propaganda media outlets are out there saying that North Korea is much more of a threat to the international community than Russia. And what they mean by that is that North Korea poses much more of a threat in the cyber attack arena. They're saying that Kim Jong-un's regime has been connected to a number of major hacks in recent years, and they are getting better at it. And of course, they mentioned, the WannaCry, they mentioned Sony Pictures, and they mentioned all of them. And what they're saying is that they are worried that North Korea has the capability to cyber attack the financial sector in an attempt to deter a potential U.S. strike against either their nuclear facilities or even the regime itself. Now, let's think about this before. We heard this before where the NSA chief was out there testifying that they're worried about the financial sector being hit. They are now linking it to North Korea, letting us know that they are a bigger threat than Russia. It's funny how North Korea wants to hit Wall Street. I mean, really? They're going to hit Wall Street and the banking system. To do what? To bring down the U.S.? Well, that's what they're going to make it seem like. They're going to make it seem like this is why the economy has been damaged. This is what the central bankers need. And it's a perfect scenario. It's like a perfect storm. Because a cyber attack, what do you have to prove? You're going to give people some information. You're going to tell them this is the IP address. You have the code, and it all points to North Korea. This is what they've done in the past. This is what they're going to do in the future. And again, a cyber attack is an act of war. Now they're saying that we're going to see a lot more of these cyber attacks, and North Korea is going to be hitting Japan, they're going to be hitting South Korea, and they're going to be hitting the U.S. networks. And we can see at this point is what they're saying is they might even have a new malware called Wiper, which wipes out everything. So they're already building it up and letting us know that something is coming. Now, we know that the deep state is not finished with their events. And we can see from the last event, as time goes on, it dies down. And we know they can't let the everyday news cycle come into focus once again. What they need to do is they need to have another event. And what's very interesting is that they're having drills across the country. We have one in Dallas, we have one in Houston, we have one in Arkansas, we have many others where they're looking for different actors and things like that to be used in these drills. And once again, we know when there is a drill, normally there is some type of an event. And we need to look at this because what is happening right now, and I explained this in the beginning, they're creating a lot of chaos. Think about what has happened since the event. We have the information that Trump is going to be taking away all the guns. Do you really think that's what he's going to do? Where they're quoting him saying that, take away the guns and then we'll look into the case. I mean, think about it. His base voted for him because he was not going to do this. Do you really think, coming out of all the corporate media outlets, that this is exactly what he's going to do? I mean, if he does do this, then guess what? He's basically in with the deep state and there's no hope whatsoever. We're all done for. Because if they move ahead with this and they go ahead and they push forth the UN arms treaty, it doesn't matter what we do because the deep state has full control. Or is the corporate media, the propaganda media outlets out there pushing their agenda, or is he telling them what they want to hear right now? He's done this before. He came out and said, hey, we're firing missiles into Syria. Hey, he's a bad man, Assad. We're going to be going in there. We're going to invade. We're going to get rid of him. And it never happened. He plays into the corporate media and gives them what they want. And when he tells Congress, listen, you need to come up with some type of legislation, but you need to respect the Second Amendment. Well, if you're going to respect the Second Amendment, then you're not going to take the guns away. That's kind of a mixed message. Secondly, you know and I know that Congress, they're going to come up with absolutely nothing. What has he just done? He's removed the burden off of him and placed it on Congress. He's telling the corporate media he's all for it. He is doing and is saying what the corporate media wants. Gun control. Just like the corporate media wanted the missiles fired into Syria. They wanted to go to war. And he's playing into that. I think what we're going to see in the next couple of weeks, he's going to completely back down from all of this. And he's going to remove himself from the situation. Because he understands and he realizes and he knows how to play with the corporate media. Don't feed into what is going on. Because normally it's to play into the propaganda media outlets. Now, it'd be nice if Trump and QAnon and whoever else is in there, if they start showing some proof. I know they're saying that they're going to be going after Obama and all this, and there's indictments. It's time already that they show us what they're going to do by indicting, by bringing charges, because I think we're running out of time, because I think at this point the deep state is ready to move. And I think as we go through this entire year, the next event is going to be horrific. And I don't think they can wait that long. Actually, Ole Demigod has been putting together clues, and he does believe that in March, this month, the 18th, something is going to happen in Dallas. And if you want to hear more about that, you're going to have to go to DTube or Steemit. When I upload to DTube, the video is automatically put on Steemit so you can view it there. That is steemit.com/@X22report. And DTube is D.tube, and you can type in X22 report. I will put the links at the bottom of the video. But the thing is, since the alternative media is being censored and we're actually censoring ourselves, we have to find other outlets to report on certain things, which means we need to change. If we need to change, that means those individuals like yourself listening might have to change the way you listen. If you're using a Samsung TV, if you're going through Roku, if you're going through any other type of device, it might not be supported. Steemit, DTube might not be supported on those devices. So you might have to use your phone or computer to listen to the rest. You can always come to the x22report.com site and listen to the audio. So it looks like we're at that stage where things are changing. And if you want to hear the rest of the uncensored part of this report, go to DTube, go to Steemit. It is completely free, and you can view it right in there. You actually don't even have to sign up for an account. You can listen without doing it. Or you can come to the x22report.com site, and you can listen to the audio. There's no sign-up fees or anything like that. But if you want to see visuals, you're going to have to go see the video. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.